করুণাময় ধার কৃপা বারি বিন্দু ধার কৃপা বারি বিন্দু অন্তর দেবতা আসহি হৃদয় সিংহাসনে বস শরণ রক্ষক বলি হে তুম নামে পড়ে হুরি শরণ রক্ষক বলি হে তুম নামে পড়ে হুরি মোলা গীতে নাম ন যাও ভুলি হে মোলা গীতে নাম ন যাও ভুলি হে করুণাময় ঘৃণা কর পদে অলি ঘৃণা কর পদে অলি অন্তর দেবতা আসহি হৃদয় সিংহাসনে বস তোমার পাতিরি নয়ন হেরি হে তোমার পাতিরি নয়ন হেরি হে করুণাময় তুতিব মন পরশ তুতিব মন পরশ অন্তর দেবতা আসহি হৃদয় সিংহাসনে বস হৃদয় সিংহাসনে বস।
জয় গুরু। আজি লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা আজি লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা আসিতন্তি প্রাণর ঠাকুর আসিতন্তি প্রাণর ঠাকুর অবিলাস মুনিয়াদি পুরিলা অবিলাস মুনিয়াদি পুরিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা আজ লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা তিরূপ দর্শন মিটাই পাই প্রতা তিরূপ ପାଇବା ପାଇଁ ତୋଷା ନଭୁର କିରଣ ଝରିଲା ନଭୁର କିରଣ ଝରିଲା দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা আজি লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা আসি সর্বদেবগণ জয় গুরু করি সর্বদেবগণ জয় গুরু করি উন্মাদন জিতানে ভরিলা উন্মাদন জিতানে ভরিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা জ্যোতির্ময় সে রূপরে শতদল পদ্ম পরে জ্যোতির্ময় সে রূপরে শতদল পদ্ম পরে যোগী জন মন ধ্যানে মজিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা আজি লাগিলা দিগন্তে কি কুহুক লাগিলা ভকত কাল জ্ঞান প্রেম বিতারিত
বন্ধন মোচন পূজাবর গুণহীন সগুণা ধীপতি ভবভীর জানে সত সম্বরদাম প্রণমামি গুরু শিব কল্পতরু প্রণমামি গুরু শিব কল্পতরু।
পদতল মনোহর বিকচ শতদলম বরণ বৈভব নিন্দয়ী পদতল মনোহর বিকচ শতদলম ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল কান্তি ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী পদ তଳ মনোহর বিকচ শতদ বরণ বৈভব নিন্দয়ী কান্তি ঘনু কান্তি ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী নয়ন মন অভিন পরি শুভ্রবাস সুপে শনে তব রস কটি তট সাজই পরি শুভ্রবাস শুভ শুভে শনে তব সরস কটি তট সাজই কমরুচির পরিসর বক্ষ পরসজ কৌচির পরিসর বক্ষ পরসজ সুমন হার বিরাজই সুমন হার বিরাজই পদ তଳ মনোহর বিকচ শতদল বরণ বৈভব নিন্দয়ী পদ তଳ মনোহর বিকচ শতদল বরণ বৈভব নিন্দয়ী তনু কান্তি ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল কান্তি ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী মুখ মন্দ দর হাত আশিষ বারি মুখ মণ্ডলে দর হাত আশিষ বারি সতত সিঞ্চয়ী মুখ মণ্ডলে দর হাত আশিষ বারি সতত সিঞ্চয়ী ঘন কৃষ্ণ কুঞ্জিত চারু কুন্তল কৃষ্ণ কুঞ্জিত চারু কুন্তল কণ্ঠ তট পট পিঞ্চয়ী কণ্ঠ তট পট পিঞ্চয়ী পদ তଳ মনোহর বিকচ শতদ বরণ বৈভব নিন্দয়ী পদ তଳ মনোহর বিকচ শতদল বরণ বৈভব নিন্দয়ী তনু কান্তি ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল কান্তি ঝলমল কান্ত কোমল নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী নয়ন মন বিনন্দয়ী নত ভকত জন তব চরণ भक्त जन तब शरण जुगरे बंदिया शिष लोड़ई दिय गुरु निगम तीर पद सर गुरु निगम तीर पद सर गुरुदास भिक्षुक मागई गुरुदास भिक्षुक मागई पद तल मनोहर विकच सतद वरण वैभव निंदई पद तल मनोहर विकच सतद वरण वैभव निंदई तनु कांति झलमल कांत कोमल कांति झलमल कांत कोमल नयन मन विनंदई नयन मन विनंदई नयन मन विनंदई गुरुदास भिक्षुक मागई। जय गुरु।
जय गुरु। सद्गुरु स्वामी निगमानंद उपदेशामृत टू साधकस चैप्टर forsake self-intelligence. God is present, but no one can ever find him in logic or in the Vedas and mythologies or in the Quran or in the Bible. Mind and intelligence cannot reach him. Rather, one can find him by extinguishing mind and intelligence. So long as one has not generated faith in God, one has to inquire the truth underlying the world or oneself. Go to a saint and discuss with him the principles of truth. One cannot find solution to all these just from speeches and writings. My principle is that I do not indicate the path towards divinity, Shreya path, to any disciple. When a disciple completes on me, I shall select the right direction. You abandon all paths and embrace the path of devotion. Come under his shelter and practice to Dhamma only. You can achieve the fruit of yoga, jnana and bhakti only by japa. Some of my devotees living amidst joy and jubilations get unique celestial experience which are not possible in yoga or the Vedantic discussions. You capitalize only on japa. One also attains samadhi in japa. One may be disabled or disinterested in bhajana, but if one has at least desire for spiritual development, the grace of Guru operates in him. How can divine power transmitted in the absence of spiritual yearning? For me, there is no difference between a Vaishnava, the worshipper of Krishna, the worshipper of Krishna mantra, and Shakta, the worshipper of Shakti mantra. All should take sattvic food for the purification of mind, live according to dictates of conscience. There is no need of mantra. You offer naivedya in mind without uttering any mantra. One can offer bhoga, food to Ishta and Guru on one plate by considering them one. Jai Guru.
जय गुरु। दीक्षिता माँ। minutes of the last session. No, nahanti bodhe line re. Bishu bhai ପଠେଇଥିଲେ କି minutes ଟା?
ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ ନାଇଁ ପଠେଇ ନାହାନ୍ତି ପଠେଇଛନ୍ତି
ଭାଇ ଲିପସିତା ପଠେଇଛନ୍ତି
ତାହେଲେ ଚିନ୍ମୟ ମାଙ୍କର ପାଳି ଥିଲା ସେଇଥିଲେ ଯଦି ପଢିବେ 2 ଜଣ ଥିଲେ ପାଳିଆ ଗଲା ତରଫ
ଚିନ୍ମୟ ମା ଅଛନ୍ତି ଲାଇନ୍ ରେ?
ହଁ ଭାଇ ମୁଁ ଅଛି ଯେ ମୁଁ ଦେଖିନି ସେ ମେଲ୍ ଟା ଆଉ।
ଓହୋ କଣ ଇମେଲ ପଠେଇଛନ୍ତି ନା କଣ? ମୁଁ ବି ଦେଖିନି ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି।
ହଁ ଭାଇ ଇମେଲ ରେ ଅଛି।
ଭାଇ ମୁଁ ଖୋଲିକି ରଖିଛି, ମୁଁ ପଢିପାରିବି?
ଓହୋ ସେ ଲୁକ୍ସ ଲାଇକ୍ ମା ଲିଖୁଛନ୍ତି ସେ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି।
ତାହେଲେ
କଣ ଭାଇ ବିଶ୍ୱନାଥ ଭାଇ କଣ ଷ୍ଟାର କଣ ଏଟା?
ଲିପସିତା ମା ଆପଣ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ ହେଲେ କି ଏବେ? ଜୟଗୁରୁ ଏବେ ଲିପସିତା ମା ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ ହେଲେ କି?
ମା ଟିକେ ଟ୍ରାଏ କଲେ
ଲିପସିତା ମା ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ କରିବେ। ମାଙ୍କର ବୋଧେ ମୁଁ ତ ଏଇଠୁ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ କରିଦଉଛି ମାଙ୍କୁ।
ସେ ପରେ ପଢିବେ। ଲେଟ୍ସ ମୁଭ ଅନ୍ ମେ बी।
ଜୟଗୁରୁ।
ହଁ ଜୟଗୁରୁ।
ହଁ
ଭାଇ ମୁଁ ଫୋନରେ ଜଏନ୍ କଲି, ମୁଁ ଲାପଟପ୍ ଟା ଡିସକନେକ୍ଟ କରୁଛି। ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ସରି अबाउट दैट। ଜୟଗୁରୁ ମିନିଟ୍ ଟା ପଢୁଛି, ଶୁଣି ପାରୁଛନ୍ତି ସମସ୍ତେ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ନ୍ୟାଚୁରାଲ ସାରସ୍ୱତ ସଂଘ ପୁରୀ अमेरिका सारस्वत संघ 808 संघ पूजा सेशन रिपोर्ट डेट April 3rd Sunday. Time 7:15 to 8:45 morning session, 9:45 11:55 afternoon. The day session. Palya Divyam Lipsitama Chinmayma. Attendance is available on the AMSA's website. The Adivasa Puja was held on Saturday 2nd April 8 p.m. Eastern Time. First session. The first session of the puja started at 7:15 with Pratiksha songs Saraswata Sangha lag Anandamaya Nikamananda sung by Pujama and Arpitama. Arati was performed by Sanajit Bhai while Smitama led the Arati song followed by Bandai Gurucharana as Stotra Bandana by Milluma. It was followed by Ridapatra special prayers during coronavirus pandemic, Samilani and Asana Mandira Nitya Puja Prarthana led by Viswajit Bhai. Then Padmama and Smita Raima read Bandana, Prarthana and Prarthana Kanika Prati from Sangha Sevaka 37th year part 2. From the Sangha Sevaka book, we read that in this world there are usually 2 types of opposing situations, happiness and sorrow. These 2 mutually conflicting conditions happen to intermingle in the minds of bhaktas. Therefore, it is advised to pray with a neutral mind devoid of conflicts. The neutral state is achieved by sincere devotion and attraction of the bhakta towards their Lord. After this book reading, Pallavi Ma read Sri Sri Guru Gita verse 87. Then Lipsita Ma invited Sri Sri Thakura for offering of Bhoga, Balya Bhoga. He then also invited Sri Sri Thakura and all Bhakta Bhai Ma and young aspirants for second puja session to start at 9:45 Eastern Time. The asana was closed with Joy Guru Namakirtana and Pranam Gana. Balya Bhoga was offered to Sri Sri Thakura followed by Prasad Sevana by all. Second session. The second session of the puja started at 9:45 with Abahana songs Abahana Koruchaji and Asa He Asa Pranara Isa, respectively sung by Sukanyama, Amritama. This was followed by Pranam Gana, opening of the curtain. Then Anjalima sang a Bandana Ghena Bare, followed by reading of Paicha Patra by Kalpanama. This was followed by Vishwapati Pranama, led by Smita Baima. Then Sasmitama read Nigamopadisa book, page 140 to 141, Importance of the Place of Pilgrimage. We read that if you can manifest the essence and inherent truth of an advice in your life, it will be more precious and powerful than listening to hundreds of advices. Thereafter, Bandita Ma read minutes of last puja session and Vedapanti Ma read from book Pancha Sanyasini Sitya, pages 64 to 68. Then Rashmi Chaudhary Ma sang a Prathana song, Asiva Pathara Bandhu Tume Moro. Following that, Sanghamitra Ma read a portion from Sanskar Pathe Part 1. Then Gyanabai led the discussions during the question and answer session. The young aspirant session started with Shreyasi Ma singing a Prathana song. Shreya Ma then led the discussion for rest of the YA session. Thereafter, Divyam, Dipsita Ma and Chinmoy Ma respectively did their Bhava Vinimay, followed by invitation to Sri Thakura for Madhyanya Bhoga. Bhakta Bai Ma and young aspirant for the evening session. Then I see Dipsita Ma and Mona Lisa Ma invited Sri Thakur Maharaj and all Bhakta Bhai Ma and young aspirants to next Sangha Puja to be held on April 10th. Then Chinmoy Ma begged forgiveness on behalf of all Paliya and Sebaka Bhaktas from Sri Thakura and all Bhai Ma and young aspirants for the mistakes and errors committed deliberately or unintentionally for their Puja Pali and Seba. The session was concluded with Vidaya Pathana Dayama Sricharane by Udita Ma, and then Asana was closed with Joy Guru, Namakirtana and Pranama. Vishwajit Bhai took attendance of all Bhais and Mas. Madhyanya Bhoga was offered to Sri Thakura, followed by Prasad Sevana by all. Iti Sri Thakura Charana Srita Divyam Dipsita Ma and Chinmoy Ma. Joy Guru.
जय गुरु आम आचार्य प्रसंग पढ़ा पृष्ठा 33 टी रिकाप कर दौ सुरेन्द्र मोहन दासगुप्त भाई गोविंद पुत्रचंद्र पुण्य भाई ठाकुर विषय जानिकी ठाकुर पाखक जाइछन्ति एवं ठाकुर दीक्षा सरी दीक्षा सरिया पर से दिन संध्यार विषय आम पढ़ा संध्यारे यथा नियमित रूपे भक्त समागम होगाक लगिला। डाक्तर श्रीजुक्त नृपेन्द्र चंद्र राय, तदीय भ्राता रसिक शेखर श्रीमान सुधीर महाराज एवं प्रेमिक भक्त श्रीजुक्त जोगेश्वर गंगोपाध्याय महाशय यही समय सर्वदा ठाकुर निकट को यातायात करुथिले। सेमानक उच्छल भाव, गुरुनिष्ठा, प्रेम भाव समागत भक्त मंडली प्राण में एक अद्भुतपूर्व भक्तिभाव संचार कर जाउथिला। गुरु कृपा प्रविष्ट यही सबु भक्तगण और अन्य बहु प्रेमिक भक्त सर्वदा आश्रम को यातायात करुथिले। संध्या समागम आश्रम आनंद हाट बसी जाउथिला। तत्व पिपासु भक्तगण आनंदोच्छ्वास आश्रम अंगन मुखरित होई उठुथिला। भक्तगण परिवेष्टित ठाकुर एक महाभाव विस्तार करी अवस्थान करुथिले। मु परदिन चली आसिबा पई अनुमति प्रार्थना कली। से आउ 2 दिन रहिबा पई कहिले, किंतु मोर असुविधा हेबो जानी अनुमति देले। एकी हमर एई जो पैराग्राफ नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ पढ़ा हबो एटा आमे आम सहित हमर बहुत कोरिएट होई परिया। संसारी लोक कामिनी कांचन नै जहार बास विषय विषय मध्य दीर्घकाल अवस्थान करने एक महा समस्या कथा। भगवान श्री रामकृष्ण देव कहते गृहीर मन जेपरी माछी मल आवर्जन भी बसे पुणी फूल भी बसे। गुहपोक को जदि पायस रखा जाए से जेपरी विशिष्ट संसार मुग्ध जीवन ही गुहपोक। सत्संग रूप तृप्ति नहीं, सहजरे क्लांत हो उठे एवं तार निज स्थान विष्ठा को फेरी जावाक चाहे। मो अवस्था भी तद्रूप हो उठिला। यही सुनिर्मल स्वर्गीय भावमय स्थान, यही प्रेम बड़ा पवित्र भरा सुशीतल आश्रम जेते आनंद बहुल और शोकताप वेदना व्यथा हरणकारी हेले ना कहीं मो प्राण मन जेपरी क्लांत परिश्रांत हो उठिला। संसार को फेरी आसा इच्छा है। तेणु ठाकुर अनुमति नहीं स्वगृह को प्रत्यावर्तन निमित्त प्रस्तुत होगाक लगिले। ठाकुर जेपरी मन आकर्षण करने को लगिले संसार सेहीपरि आकर्षण करने को लगिला। यही दोटण पड़ी दोटण माने दियाडु जो टणा होछन यही दोटण पड़ी संसार संस्कार ही जय है। एठारे ସେଠାରେ ରହିବା ପାଇଁ ଆଉ ମନ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ କରିପାରିଲି ନାହିଁ। ମୋର ଏହି ମନର ଅବସ୍ଥାଟି ଟିକିଏ ବିଶେଷ ଭାବରେ ଆଲୋଚନା କରିବା ଦରକାର। ତ୍ୟାଗ, ବୈରାଗ୍ୟ, ପ୍ରେମ, ଭକ୍ତି ଆଦି ସ୍ୱର୍ଗୀୟ ଭାବରାଜି ମଣିଷକୁ ଭବନ୍ମୁଖୀ ଓ ସଂସାର ବିରାଗୀ କରିଦିଏ। କୌଣସି ଏକ ଶୁଭ ମୁହୂର୍ତ୍ତରେ, କୌଣସି ଏକ ପବିତ୍ର କ୍ଷଣରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଚିତ୍ତରେ ସତ୍ୱଗୁଣ ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଭାବରେ ପ୍ରଭାବ ବିସ୍ତାର କରିଥାଏ, ସେତେବେଳେ ଭଗବତ କୃପାରୁ ଶୁଭ ବୁଦ୍ଧି ଉଦୟ ହୁଏ। ଶିବ ସେହି ପୁଣ୍ୟକ୍ଷଣ ପ୍ରଭାବରେ ସେ ପବିତ୍ର ମୁହୂର୍ତ୍ତର ସୁବିଧା ଗ୍ରହଣ କରି ସାମୟିକ ଭାବରେ ଧର୍ମ ଭାବରେ ଉଦ୍ଭୁତ ହୁଏ, ଆଉ ଗୁରୁ କୃପାରୁ ତାର ଅଭିଷ୍ପିତ ବସ୍ତୁ ଲାଭ ପାଇଁ ବ୍ୟସ୍ତ ହୋଇଉଠେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ସମୟାନ୍ତରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମ ଗୁଣ ଚିତ୍ତକୁ ଆଶ୍ରୟ କରେ, ନିରାଶାର ଅନ୍ଧକାରରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ମାନବ ମନ ଜର୍ଜରିତ ହେଉଥାଏ, ସର୍ବବିଧ ସଦ୍ଭାବ ଓ ସତ୍କର୍ମରୁ ଚିତ୍ତ ବିମୁଖ ହୋଇଯାଏ, ସେହି ଏକ ମହାସନ୍ଧିକ୍ଷଣରେ ଜୀବର ପତନ ଅବସମ୍ଭାବୀ ହୋଇଉଠେ। ତାର ଧୈର୍ଯ୍ୟ ବନ୍ଧ ଭାଙ୍ଗି, ତାର ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ଶିଥିଳ ହୋଇଯାଏ, କର୍ମଶକ୍ତି କ୍ଷୀଣ ହୁଏ, ଆଉ ସୁଖକାର ବସ୍ତୁରାଜି ତା ସମ୍ମୁଖରେ ଶତ ବାହୁ ବିସ୍ତାର କରି ତାକୁ ଆହ୍ୱାନ କରୁଥାଏ। ସେତେବେଳେ ଜନ୍ମାର୍ଜିତ ପୁଣ୍ୟ ବଳରେ କର୍ମ ପ୍ରଭାବରେ କେବେ କେବେ ହୁଏତ ସେ ଆତ୍ମପରାପ କରିବାକୁ ସମର୍ଥ ହୁଏ, ଘୋର ବିପଦରୁ ରକ୍ଷା ପାଏ, ସର୍ବେଶ୍ୱର ସର୍ବନିୟନ୍ତା ଜଗତ ପ୍ରଭୁଙ୍କ ମଙ୍ଗଳ ହସ୍ତ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ପାଏ, ତାଙ୍କ ଇଙ୍ଗିତ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରିପାରେ, ଆଉ ଏହି ସମସ୍ୟାରୁ ପାର ହୋଇ ପୁଣି ସ୍ୱଭୂମିର ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠିତ ହୁଏ, ପୁଣି ସେହି ପ୍ରେମ ସାଧନରେ ପ୍ରବୃତ୍ତ ହୁଏ। କିନ୍ତୁ କର୍ମଜାଲରେ ପଡ଼ି ଯେ ଏହି ଇଙ୍ଗିତ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରି ନପାରେ, ସେ ସୁନିର୍ମଳ ସ୍ୱର୍ଗ ସୁଖ ଛାଡ଼ି ପୁଣି ସଂସାରର ପଙ୍କିଳ ଖାତରେ ନିମଜ୍ଜିତ ହୁଏ, ଆତ୍ମବିସ୍ମୃତ ହୁଏ, ଦିବ୍ୟ ସୁଖ ସମ୍ଭୋଗ ଭୁଲି ଯାଇ ସଂସାର ଦାସରେ ଆତ୍ମନିୟୋଗ କରେ। ଏହି ଭାବରେ ଜୀବର ଉତ୍ଥାନ ପତନ ଖେଳ ଚାଲୁଥାଏ। ମୁଁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏହିପରି ପ୍ରବାହରୁ ମୁକ୍ତ ହୋଇନାହିଁ। ତେଣୁ ଆନନ୍ଦମୟ ରାଜ୍ୟ ଛାଡ଼ି ଆଡ଼କୁ ଅଗ୍ରସର ହେବା ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ହେଲି। ଭରସା ହେଲା ତାଙ୍କ ଶ୍ରୀଚରଣ, ତାଙ୍କ କୃପା।
କେତେଟା ଟାଇମ ହେଇଛି ମୋର? 9:24, 10:30। ଆମର ନେକ୍ସଟ କେତେବେଳେ ଅଛି କି? 10ଟା ଅଛି, 10:30 ଅଛି ତ ନେକ୍ସଟ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ହଁ, ଏଠି ଚାକିରି ସରୁଛି। ଆମର ଅଶ୍ୱିନୀ ଭାଇ
Jaguru. Translation of the paragraph the Vishwaranjan Bhai read, it really it's impossible to describe that in English, because Surendra Mohan Das mind, the state of his mind, the conflict what he was going through while he was with Thakur and with all the bhaktas, and then he wants to come back to his family. So instead of trying to summarize what exactly he went through, I'll try to summarize at a high level, because that English version of everything that Vishwaranjan Bhai read is just not possible to translate. Okay. So Surendra Mohan Dasgupta Bhai is deriving that evening session, all the devotees are coming and gathering with Thakur, along with the three bhaktas, which is Nupuran Chandra Rai, Jogeshwara Gangopadhyay, and Sudhir Kumar Rai. And those three devotees were kind of at that point the sort of primary devotees of Thakur's, and all the devotees that were present in that evening sessions were very much mesmerized by these three devotees, their devotion to Thakur and the way they were performing the seva. And they were setting certain examples of how the seva should be performed, and that is the what was really Surendra Mohan Dasgupta Bhai was attracted to. And when the next day he started sharing that he wants to go back to his family life, and even though all the devotees and the three members that I mentioned sort of told him to go back, or gave him the permission to go back. Thakur also gave him the permission to go back, but he was really conflicting between the state of his mind, which is Sattva-guna and Tama-guna. Sattva-guna, he is describing this as the state where your mind wants to stay with Thakura and go through that experience, go through just being there and being part of that whole the holy blessings of him. Whereas Tamaguna is more around going back to the family life and samsara and very much everything that's controlled by the senses. So he was really conflicting between those two, but and then finally, because of where he was at his spiritual path, ultimately Tamaguna won, and he decided to go back to his family life for a few days, and then of course the story continues after that. So that is the sort of summary of what we just read today. Jai Guru.
Mora manara kari tuna jagata jiva. Mora manara kari tuna jagata सपना
Jai Guru. Sansarapathe. While praying to me, you do not have to hesitate or be scared. If someone commits a mistake with innocent belief and admits it, then a wise person will discredit it. The Gurudeva unwarrantedly wishes well of his disciples and wholeheartedly, with both hands, offers boon and protection from fear to them, forgives their offenses and guides them on the benevolence path, and you do not have to be fearful or hesitant while praying to him. God has created a universal insufficiency in this world. That is, Jiva can never consider itself happy. It also is highest mercy. Through pain and suffering, Jiva gradually makes progresses, and until it attains self-realization, it is not satisfied with anything. Gayatri Mantra is God's highest inspiration. That prayer is blissfully vocalized at all times inside all Jiva. His limitless mercy is perfectly stacked up in every stage. One who prays is blessed upon its attainment. Then he also unwarrantedly merciful, and without any prayer he grants the wealth of devotion. To that, his title of mercifulness is established in this world. When his mercy showers through a pure soul, it benefits the whole universe. The fruits of one's action are also lightened through the prayer. It's just like a prisoner awaiting a death sentence makes a prayer to clemency to the governor and gets punishment reduced, perhaps exiled for life to a remote island. By law of nature, those who are destined to attain the liberation in the three paths through the prayer and motivation are blessed and able to reach in this path. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Now I'm thinking that now the page पढ़िଥିଲେ ଭଲ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା. ରେଡି ଅଛ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେଟ୍ କରିବା. ଆମର ଟିକେ ପଢା କମ ହେଇଯାଉଛି. ଜ୍ଞାନ ଭାଇ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ସଂଖ୍ୟା ପଛେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଦିଅ, କାରଣ ମାତ୍ର 2 ମିନିଟ୍ ଲାଗୁଛି. ଏତିକି ଦିଆ ହଉଛି, 10 ମିନିଟ୍ ସମୟ ଦିଆ ହଉଛି ସଂଖ୍ୟା ପଥ ପାଇଁ. ଇଭେନ୍ ଗୀତଟା ବି ଦିଆ ହଉଛି 10 ମିନିଟ୍ ଦିଆ ହଉଛି, ତ ଗାଇଡ୍ 10 ମିନିଟ୍ ଯାଉନି. ତେଣୁ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଇଭିନ୍ ଆମେ ଏଥିରୁ ନିଗମ ଉପଦେଶକୁ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ବଢେଇ ଦେଇ ପାରନ୍ତେ, କାରଣ ଆମର ରିଡିଂ ମ୍ୟାଟେରିଆଲ ଏନଫ୍ ହଉନାହିଁ. କିଶୋର ଭାଇ ରେଡି, ଆଉ 2 ପେଜ୍ ପଢିଦିଅ, ପଢି ରଖିଦିଅ, ତାପରେ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନଟା ନେକ୍ସଟ ଟାଇମ୍ କରିବା ହେଲା. କିଏ କହିଲା? ହଉ ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ. जमै वैश्य गुणुटे
जम वैश्य वृणुते उपनिषद आसছে से ब्रह्म से स्वयं ଯାହାକୁ କୃପା କରନ୍ତି ସେ ହିଁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଲାଭ କରିପାରନ୍ତି. ଗୁରୁ ଅହେତୁକ କୃପାମୟ ମାୟାତ୍ୟାଗୀ ମହାଯୋଗୀ ଶିଷ୍ୟର ଅନୁକୂଳ ମାୟାରେ ସ୍ନେହ ମମତାରେ ଭରା ଅନବିଦ୍ୟ ପ୍ରୀତିର ପ୍ରସବଣ ଭଲ ପାଇବାର ସଂସାରରେ ପିତା ମାତା ସ୍ତ୍ରୀ ପୁତ୍ର କନ୍ୟାଙ୍କର ସାଧ୍ୟ ନାହିଁ. ଏମିତି ଭକ୍ତ ହୃଦୟ ସୁଶୀତଳ କରି ତାର ମନ ପ୍ରାଣ ମତାଇ ଗୁରୁଙ୍କ ଭଳି ତାକୁ ଆପଣାର କରି ନେଇ ପାରିବେ. What they are saying is, what Saraswata is saying is, unlike Guru, no one else can make you as their own. So even parents, wife, and kids, they can make you uh, as make you feel like as if their own, like the guru can. ଯଦି ଯଦିଚ ମୁଁ ଘରକୁ ଫେରିବା ପାଇଁ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ହେଉଥିଲି, ତଥାପି ମୋ ପ୍ରାଣ ଯେପରି ତାଙ୍କ ମହିମାମୟ ସ୍ନିଗ୍ଧ ସୁଶୀତଳ ସାନ୍ନିଧ୍ୟ ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଶ୍ରୀମୁଖରୁ ଦୀପଦ ସୁମଧୁର କଥା ଶୁଣିବା ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଭଲ ପାଇବାର ରୂପ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଦେଖିବା ପାଇଁ ପାଗଳ ହୋଇ ଉଠୁଥିଲା। ମଝିରେ ମଝିରେ ନିଜକୁ ନିଜେ ଭୁଲି ଯାଉଥିଲେ। ଏହିପରି ଭାବ ଓ ବିଭାବ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ନିଦ୍ରା ଜାଗରଣର ରଜନୀ ପ୍ରଭାତ ହେଲା। ଦୋଳାଇଗଞ୍ଜ ଏଇଠି କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସୁରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ଦାସ ଭାଇ କି wants to see Thakur again and like in that particular time frame, like where he's very like in one side he wants to go back to his home and on the other side he wants to stay in that in the ashram. So ଏହିପରି ଭାବ ବିଭାଗ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ନିଦ୍ରା ଜାଗରଣର ରଜନୀ ପ୍ରଭାତ ହେଲା। ଦୋଳାଇଗଞ୍ଜ ଷ୍ଟେସନରେ ସକାଳ 8ଟାରେ ଟ୍ରେନ ମୋ ପାଇଁ ଭାତ 2ଟି ରାନ୍ଧିଦେଲେ। ଶୀଘ୍ର ଶୀଘ୍ର ଆହାରାଦି ଶେଷ କରି ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ହେଲି। କିନ୍ତୁ ଯିବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଏ ସ୍ଥାନ ପରିତ୍ୟାଗ କରିବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଥରେ ଯେଉଁ ପରମ ବସ୍ତୁଟି ଆଜି ମୋର ବୋଲି ଜାଣିଛି, ଯାହାଙ୍କ ରାଜୀବ ଚରଣ ଛାୟାରେ ନିଜକୁ ବିସର୍ଜନ ଦେଇ ପ୍ରାଣରେ ଅପାର ଶାନ୍ତିର ଅଧିକାରୀ ହୋଇଛି, ତାଙ୍କୁ ଥରେ ଦର୍ଶନ ନ କରି କିପରି ଏଠାକୁ ଚାଲିଯିବି? କିନ୍ତୁ ଏତେ ସକାଳୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦର୍ଶନ ଲାଭର ତ କୌଣସି ସମ୍ଭାବନା ଦେଖୁନାହିଁ। ମନ ଏକାବାର ବେଦନାରେ ଭରି ଉଠିଲା। ପ୍ରାଣରେ ଏକ ବିଷମ ଆକୁଳତା ଜାଗି ଉଠିଲା। ଦଣ୍ଡାୟମାନ ହୋଇ ଚିନ୍ତାକ୍ଳିଷ୍ଟ ହେଉଅଛି, ଏହିପରି ସମୟରେ ଜଣେ ବ୍ରହ୍ମଚାରୀ ଆସି ମୋତେ ଭିତରକୁ ଆଶ୍ରମର ଅନ୍ତର୍ବାଟିକୁ ଡାକି ନେଲେ। ଠାକୁର ମୋତେ ଡାକୁଛନ୍ତି। ମୁଁ ପଚାରି ବୁଝିଲି ସେ ଆଜି ପୂର୍ବରୁ ହିଁ ଶଯ୍ୟା ତ୍ୟାଗ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ମୋତେ ଯଥା ସମୟରେ ଆହ୍ୱାନ କରିଛନ୍ତି। କି ଅହେତୁକ କୃପା! ଭକ୍ତବାଞ୍ଛା କଳ୍ପତରୁ ପ୍ରଭୁ ଦର୍ଶନ ଦାନ ପାଇଁ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ହୋଇ ରହିଛନ୍ତି। ପୁଣି ଡାକି ପଠାଇଛନ୍ତି। ଆରେ ଅବୋଧ, ଆରେ ମୂର୍ଖ, ଆରେ ଅନ୍ଧ, ରେ ଚକ୍ଷୁ ଖୋଲି ଦେଖ, ଥରେ ସରଳ ଭାବରେ ତାଙ୍କ ଚରଣରେ ଆତ୍ମନିବେଦନ କର। ସେ ଯେ ପ୍ରେମର ଦେବତା, ପ୍ରାଣର ଠାକୁର, କୋଳ କରି ପ୍ରାଣରେ ଶାନ୍ତି ବାରି ଢାଳି ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ସର୍ବଦା ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ହୋଇ ରହିଛନ୍ତି। ନ ଚାହିଁବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଡାକି ଦେଉଛନ୍ତି। ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯାହା ପାଇଁ ଯାହା ଦରକାର ସେତେବେଳେ ତାହା ହିଁ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଏମିତି ଗୁରୁ ଯାହାର, ଏମିତି ଦୟାମୟ ଠାକୁର ଯାହାର, ତାର ପୁଣି ଭୟ କଣ? ରଖିବି ନା ପଳେଇବି?
ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଯଦି ପଢିବ ଜଲ୍ଦି ପଢିଦିଅ, ସରିଯିବ। ଆଇ ଥିଙ୍କ ଗୋଟେ ପେଜ ଅଧିକା ଅଛି, ପଢିଦିଅ। ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନଟା ନେକ୍ସଟ ଟାଇମ ତାକୁ ମିଶେଇ କରିଦେବା ଆଉ।
ତାଙ୍କ ଚରଣ ଦର୍ଶନ କଲି। ତାଙ୍କ କରୁଣା ବଳା ଶ୍ରୀମୁଖଟିକୁ ଥରେ ପ୍ରାଣ ଭରି ଦେଖିନେଲି। ଟ୍ରେନ ସମୟ ହୋଇଯାଇଥିବାରୁ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଶୀଘ୍ର ପ୍ରାଣର ଆବେଦନ ଜଣାଇ ଦ୍ରୁତ ବାହାରକୁ ଚାଲି ଆସିଲି ଏବଂ ଦୋଳାଇଗଞ୍ଜ ଆସି ନାରାୟଣଗଞ୍ଜଗାମୀ ରେଳଗାଡ଼ିରେ ଉଠି ପଡ଼ିଲି। ଗାଡ଼ିଟି ଧୂମ ଉଦ୍ଗୀରଣ କରି ଏବଂ ବଂଶୀ ଧ୍ୱନି କରି ଷ୍ଟେସନ ପରିତ୍ୟାଗ କଲା। ମୋ ପ୍ରାଣ ଆକୁଳ କରି ମନବେଦନାରେ ଭରି ପ୍ରଭୁଙ୍କ ବିରହ ବ୍ୟଥା ବାଜି ଉଠିଲା। ମୁଁ ଗାଡ଼ିରେ ନୀରବରେ ଗୋଟିଏ କୋଣରେ ବସିଲି। ବୁକୁ ମୋର ଫାଟିଯିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା। ମୁଁ ବସ୍ତ୍ରରେ ମୁହଁ ଝାଙ୍କି ଅଜସ୍ର ଧାରାରେ ମୋ ବିରହ ବ୍ୟଥାର ଅବସାନ କରିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲି। ସେ କ୍ରନ୍ଦନ ଦେଖି ଆନନ୍ଦ କି ତୃପ୍ତି! ଆଜି ଏହି ନୟନ ଜଳରେ ବୁକୁ ଭିତରେ ଏହି ବେଦନାର ସମାରୋହ ପ୍ରାଣ କୋଣରେ ଏକ ସୌମ୍ୟ ଦିବ୍ୟମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ଜାଗି ଉଠିଲା। ସେ ଭଗବାନ ଶ୍ରୀ ଶ୍ରୀ ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ ଦେବତା ଆବିର୍ଭୂତ ହୋଇ ମୋତେ ଆଶୀର୍ବାଦ କରିଗଲେ ଏବଂ ଗୁରୁଙ୍କୁ ଭଲ ପାଇ ଯେ ଜୀବନ ସାର୍ଥକ ହେବ ତାହାର ଇଙ୍ଗିତ ଦେଇ ମୋତେ ସ୍ଥିର ଓ ଶାନ୍ତ ଭାବରେ ଗୁରୁ ବାକ୍ୟରେ ବିଶ୍ୱାସୀ ହୋଇ ଗୁରୁଗତ ପ୍ରାଣ ହୋଇ ଚଳିବା ପାଇଁ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ ଦେଇ ଅନ୍ତରିତ ହେଲେ। ମୋ ଜୀବନର ସେ ଜଣେ ପଥ ପ୍ରଦର୍ଶକ। ବିଷୟ ବେଦନାକ୍ଳିଷ୍ଟ ମନରେ ସାନ୍ତ୍ୱନା ପାଇ କେତେଥର ଯେ ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ କଥାମୃତ ସାର କରିଥିଲି, କେତେ ସକାଳ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟାରେ ସେହି ପରମ ପବିତ୍ର ଗ୍ରନ୍ଥରାଜକୁ ବୁକୁରେ ଧରି ଚକ୍ଷୁ ଜଳରେ ଭାସିଅଛି, ତାର ଇୟତା ନାହିଁ। ଚାରିଦିଗ ଶୂନ୍ୟ ଦେଖିଅଛି, ନିରୁପାୟ ହୋଇ ହତାଶ କରିଅଛି। ସେତେବେଳେ ଏହି କଥାମୃତ ହିଁ ମୋର ଏହି ତପ୍ତର ପ୍ରାଣର ଅମୃତ ଧାରା ଢାଳି ଦେଇ ସୁଶୀତଳ କରିଅଛି। ଏହି କଥାମୃତ ଯୋଗେ ପରମହଂସ ଦେବ ମୋର ଏହି କ୍ଳିଷ୍ଟ ହୃଦୟରେ ବ୍ୟଥାହତ ପ୍ରାଣରେ ଆଶାର ବାଣୀ ଶୁଣାଇଛନ୍ତି। ନୟନରେ ଜଳ ଆସିଲେ ହିଁ ଅରୁଣ ଉଦୟ ହେଲା। ତାଙ୍କ ଦୟା ହେଲା। ଯେତେବେଳେ ସମୟ ହେବ ସେତେବେଳେ ଗୁରୁ ଆପଣା ଛାଏଁ ମନୋବାସନା ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ କରିବେ। ତାଙ୍କର ଏହି ଆଶାର ବାଣୀ ବକ୍ଷରେ ଧରି ଦିନ କଟାଉଥିଲି। ଆଜି ମୋର ଏହି ଅଭିଷ୍ଟ ସିଦ୍ଧି ଦିନରେ ସେ ମୋତେ ଆଶୀର୍ବାଦ କରିଗଲେ। ତାଙ୍କ ଶୋକ ସନ୍ତାନାପସକ କଥାମୃତର ଅପୂର୍ବ ବାଣୀ ଗୁଡିକ ମୋ ପ୍ରାଣରେ ପୁଣି ଏକ ନୂତନ ପ୍ରେରଣା ଆଣି ଦେବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା। ଧନ୍ୟ ଦେବତା, ଧନ୍ୟ ତମ କୃପା। ଯେତେ ବିଭିନ୍ନତା, ଯେତେ ମଳିନତା ସବୁ ନିମ୍ନ ସ୍ତରରେ ହିଁ ଦେଖାଯାଏ। ପ୍ରକୃତ ସ୍ଥାନରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନତାର ঊର୍ଦ୍ଧ୍ୱେ ଭେଦ ନାହିଁ, ମତବାଦ ନାହିଁ, ପାର୍ଥକ୍ୟ ନାହିଁ। ସବୁ ଏକ ପ୍ରେମ ରାଜ୍ୟର କର୍ମୀ। ପରେ ଠାକୁର ମହାରାଜଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରି ଜାଣିଥିଲି ଶ୍ରୀ ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ ଦେବ ଅବତାର ଥିଲେ। ଯାହା ହେଉ ଯଥା ସମୟରେ ବଗୁଡାକୁ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟାବର୍ତ୍ତନ କରି ଗୀତା ଓ ଅନ୍ୟାନ୍ୟ ଗୁରୁଜନ ମାନଙ୍କ ପଦଧୂଳି ଗ୍ରହଣ କଲି। ମୋତେ ଫେରି ପାଇ ସମସ୍ତେ ବିଶେଷ ଆନନ୍ଦିତ ହେଲେ। ମୁଁ ଫେରିବି କି ନାହିଁ ବୋଲି ଅନେକଙ୍କ ମନରେ ସନ୍ଦେହ ଉପସ୍ଥିତ ହୋଇଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ସେ ସନ୍ଦେହ ହିଁ ରହିଗଲା। ଗୁରୁ କୃପା ହିଁ କେବଳ। ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ। ଭାଇ ଆମର ଯୋଉ ସୁରେନ୍ଦ୍ରନାଥ ଦାସଗୁପ୍ତ ସେ ପ୍ରଥମେ ନିଜକୁ ଶାକ୍ତ ବୋଲି ଡିଫାଇନ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ ନା?
ତାଙ୍କ ବଂଶରେ ଶକ୍ତି ପୂଜା ଚାଲିଥିଲା। ସେ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି କୋଉଠି, ଏଇଥିରେ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି କୋଉଠି, ତାଙ୍କର ପରିବାର ଶାକ୍ତ ଥିଲେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଠାକୁର କହିଛନ୍ତି ମୋ ପାଖରେ ସାତ ବୈଷ୍ଣବ କିଛି ନାହିଁ। ସେ ସାତ ବୈଷ୍ଣବ ତ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ଡେଫିନେସନ ଟା ଠାକୁର ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ଖାଲି ଜଣେ ଯେ ଶକ୍ତି ପୂଜା କଲା ଶାକ୍ତ ହେଲା, ବୈଷ୍ଣବ ମାନେ ବିଷ୍ଣୁ ପୂଜା କଲା ବୈଷ୍ଣବ ସେ ନୁହେଁ। ଯେ କିଏ ମାନେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛି ମାୟା ମୋହରୁ ଉର୍ଦ୍ଧ୍ୱକୁ ଉଠିବା ପାଇଁ, ଆଉ କିଏ ଉର୍ଦ୍ଧ୍ୱକୁ ଉଠି ସାରିଲାଣି, ତାରି ଉପରେ ସାତ ବୈଷ୍ଣବ କରିଛନ୍ତି, ଡିଫାଇନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଠାକୁର। ରାଇଟ୍। ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ଆମର ତ ସମୟ ଅଲମୋଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲା କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର ସେସନ୍। ମୁଁ ଖାଲି ଟିକେ ଆମର ଆଜି ଏଥିରେ କଣ ସଂଘ ସେବା ପାଇଁ ବିଶେଷ କିଛି ପଢା ହେଇନି, ଖାଲି ମୋହ ଉପରେ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି। ସମାଧି ବୈଶ୍ୟ ଆଉ ସୁରଥ ମହାରାଜଙ୍କର ଷ୍ଟୋରିଟା ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୋହରେ କରିକି କେମିତି ଲୋକ ହୁଏ। ଯଦିଓ ତାଙ୍କୁ ସମାଧି ବୈଶ୍ୟ ତାଙ୍କର ଆତ୍ମୀୟ ପରିଚୟ ମାନେ ବିଦାୟ କରିଦେଇଥିଲେ, ପ୍ରତ୍ୟାହାର କରିଥିଲେ, ତଥାପି ସେ ତାଙ୍କ ମୁହଁରେ କେମିତି ପଢୁଥିଲେ। ଆଉ ସୁରଥଙ୍କର ବି ରାଜା ସୁରଥଙ୍କ ସେ ହେଇଥିଲା, ଯାହାକୁ ଏତେ ମାନେ ଯିଏ ତାଙ୍କର ଅତି ମାନେ ଆପଣାର ଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ହିଁ ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ବିରୁଦ୍ଧରେ ଷଡ଼ଯନ୍ତ୍ର କରିକି ଅନ୍ୟ ରାଜାମାନଙ୍କୁ ସହାୟତା ପ୍ରଦାନ କଲେ। ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୋହଟା ଆମର ହଉଛି କାହିଁକି ନା ଆମର ଦେହାତ୍ମବାଦ ପାଇଁ। ଆମେ ନିଜକୁ ଯେହେତୁ ଏ ଦେହଟା ଭାବୁଛୁ, ତେଣୁ ଏ ଦେହ ସହିତ ଯିଏ ରିଲେଟେଡ୍, ଏ ଦେହକୁ ଯିଏ ଜନ୍ମ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ବାପା ମା, ଏ ଦେହ ସହିତ ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ ଯେ ପିଲା ଜନ୍ମ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି, ଅନ୍ୟ ମାନେ ଆମର ପୁଅ ଝିଅ ମାନେ, ଆମର ଭାଇ ଭଉଣୀ ମାନେ ଯେ ସେଇ ବାପା ମା ଆସିଛନ୍ତି, ଏ ଦେହ ସମ୍ପର୍କରେ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଆମେ ତାଙ୍କରି ମୁହଁରେ ଆମେ ପଡିଯାଉଛୁ। ଆଉ ଏ ଦେହକୁ ଯିଏ ଆମକୁ ମାନେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ସୁବିଧା ଯୋଗେଇ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଆମର ଏ ଦେହର ଇଏ ପାଇଁ, ଭଲ ପାଇଁ, ସେଥିରେ ଆମର ମୋହ ଜାତ ହେଇଯାଉଛି। ବେସିକାଲି ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ପଢିଛୁ ତିନିଟା ଗ୍ରନ୍ଥିରେ, ମୁଁ କିଏ, ମୋର କିଏ, ମୁଁ କଣ କରିବି, ଏଇଥିରେ ପଢିକି ଆମର ଏଇ ଦେହାତ୍ମବାଦଟା ବଢି ବଢି ଚାଲିଛି ଏବଂ ମୁହଁରେ ପଡୁଛୁ। ଏନିୱେ କିଛି question ଅଛି before I go to question, something very important I want to talk to couple of things. ପ୍ରଥମ କଥା ବିଶ୍ୱ ପଠେଇଥିଲେ ଆମର ପରିଚାଳନା କମିଟି ମିଟିଂ ର ରିପୋର୍ଟ ପଠେଇଥିଲେ। ଦିଟା ଜିନିଷ, ପ୍ରଥମ କଥା ହଉଛି ମୁଁ ଆଗେ ଇଏ କହିଦଉଛି, ଆମର ସମ୍ମିଳନୀ କଥା କହୁଛି। ଭାଇ ପଠେଇଛନ୍ତି ଲିଙ୍କଟା, ସମ୍ମିଳନୀ ପାଇଁ ଆପଣ ମାନେ ରେଜିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସନ କରିବା ଆରମ୍ଭ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆଉ ତାପରେ ସେବା ପାଇଁ ଆପ୍ଲାଏ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରନ୍ତୁ, ଯାହାଫଳରେ କି ଆମେ ମେ ମାସ ପରିଚାଳନା କମିଟି ମିଟିଂରେ ସେବା ଗୁଡାକର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଆପଏଣ୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ କରିବୁ, ଆସାଇନ କରିବୁ, ପରିଚାଳନା କରିବେ। ତେଣୁ ଆପଣ ମେ ସୁଦ୍ଧା ଆପ୍ଲାଏ କରିଦେବା ଦରକାର। ଯେତେ ଶୀଘ୍ର କଲେ ସେତେ ଭଲ। ସେଟା ୱିଲ୍ ହାଭ୍ ଆନ୍ ଆଇଡିଆ। ଆଉ ସମସ୍ତେ ସମ୍ମିଳନୀକି ଆସିବା ପାଇଁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବେ। ଏଇ କଥାଟା ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ଗୋଇଂ ଟୁ କିପ୍ ରିପିଟିଂ ଫ୍ରମ୍ ନାଉ ଅନ୍। ଏଇଟା ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଗୋଟିଏ ଇଚ୍ଛା, ବ୍ୟକ୍ତ ଇଚ୍ଛା, ଏବଂ ସେ କହିଛନ୍ତି, ଅତି ଦୃଢ ଭାବରେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ କଣ ସେ ଏକ୍ସାକ୍ଟ ମାନେ କଥାଟା ମନେ ପଡୁନି, ଆମେ ଟ୍ରାଇଂ ଟୁ ରିଫ୍ରେଜ୍ ଇଟ୍, ଯେ ଦୈବ ଦୁର୍ବିପାକ ବ୍ୟତୀତ ସମସ୍ତେ ସମ୍ମିଳନୀକୁ ଆସିବେ। ସେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ମୋ ଆଦେଶ ଯେମିତି ପାଳନ ହବ। ଏକ୍ସାକ୍ଟ ମନେ ପଡୁନି, ବହିରୁ ପଢି ନେକ୍ସଟ ଟାଇମ୍ କହିଦେବି। ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି ସମସ୍ତେ ସମ୍ମିଳନୀକୁ ଆସନ୍ତୁ ଅନଲେସ୍ ଦୈବ ଦୁର୍ବିପାକ ଘଟିଗଲା ଆପଣ ଆସିପାରୁନି, ତା ଡିଫରେନ୍ସ ଷ୍ଟୋରି। ତଦ୍ବାଇ ସମ୍ମିଳନୀକୁ ଆସିବେ। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ଇଚ୍ଛା, ଗୋଟେ ଏଇଟା ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଏ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ ଆମେ ପାଳନ କରିବା ସମସ୍ତେ। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଏବଂ ତାଙ୍କୁ ସେ ନିଜେ ବି କହିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୋର ଆଦେଶ ଉପଦେଶକୁ ଅବମାନନା କରିବା ଯାହା, ଅମର୍ଯ୍ୟାଦା କରିବା ଯାହା, ମତେ ଅମର୍ଯ୍ୟାଦା କରିବା ସେୟା। ଗୁରୁ ବାକ୍ୟ ଏଇଟା ସମସ୍ତେ ମନେ ରଖିବା। ନିଜେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ତାଙ୍କର ଆଦେଶ ଉପଦେଶକୁ ଅବମାନନା କରିବା ଯାହା, ତାଙ୍କୁ ଡିରେକ୍ଟ ଅବମାନନା କରିବା ସେୟା। ସମସ୍ତେ ମନେ ରଖିବେ। ସମ୍ମିଳନୀ ଆସିବା ପାଇଁ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ହେବେ। ଯେମିତି ଅଧିବାସ ଦିନ ଆସି ପହଞ୍ଚିବେ, ସମ୍ମିଳନୀ ସରିଲା ପରେ ଯିବେ, ଏ କଥା ମନେ ରଖିବେ। ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ କଥା, ଦିନଲିପି। ଦିନଲିପି ଲାଷ୍ଟ ମନ୍ଥ ଆଇ ଥିଙ୍କ ଆମେ ବହୁତ ମାନେ ଏନ୍ଥୁସିଆଷ୍ଟିକ ହେଇକି ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଦେଲୁ। 46 ଜଣ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଥିଲେ। ବଟ୍ ଇଟ୍ ୱାଜ୍ ସୋ ଅନଫର୍ଚୁନେଟ୍ ଜଣେ ଦି ଜଣ କେତେ ଜଣ ଗୋଟିଏ ଦୁଇଟା କରି ରହିଗଲେ। ଯଦିଓ ନାଁ ଲିଷ୍ଟ ଦେଖଉଛି 6 ଜଣଙ୍କ 46 ଜଣ ଲିଷ୍ଟ ଦେଖଉଛି, ରହିଗଲେ ଆଉ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କଲେ ନାହିଁ। ଏ ମାସରେ ସେଇ 46 ଜଣ ଭିତରୁ 10 ଜଣ ଏପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ନିବେଦନ କରୁଛି, କରନ୍ତୁ। ଯଦି ଆପଣମାନେ ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି କରିବା ପାଇଁ, ଇଏ ତା ଦେହରେ ଗୋଟେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିବ। ଦିନଲିପିଟା ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରେ। ଆମର ଜଣେ ଭାଇ ମତେ କହିଲେ ଯେ ଭାଇ ତ ମୁଁ ତ କିଛି କରିପାରୁନି, ମୁଁ ମାନେ ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ କଣ ହବ, ମାନେ ଯୋଉ ତାଙ୍କର କ୍ରିୟା କରିବା କି କରିବା। ଯଦି ଆମେ ସମସ୍ତେ ସବୁଥିରେ ସଫଳ ହେଇଯାଆନ୍ତୁ, ଆମର ଦିନଲିପି କରିବାର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ହିଁ ନାହିଁ। ଯଦି ଆମେ ସମସ୍ତେ ସାଧୁ ହେଇଗଲୁ, ସମସ୍ତେ ମହାପୁରୁଷ ହେଇଗଲୁ, ଦିନଲିପି କରିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ନାହିଁ। ଆମର ଦିନଲିପି ପୂଜା କରିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ଅଛି, କାହିଁକି ନା ଆମେ କରିପାରୁନାହୁଁ ବୋଲି ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ କରି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଜଣେଇବୁ ଯେ ଠାକୁର ଏଇ ଜାଗାରେ ଆମର ଅସୁବିଧା ରହିଯାଉଛି, ଏଇ ଜାଗାରେ ଆମକୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ହେଉଛି। ଯେ ଫେଲ୍ ହଉଛି ତାକୁ ହିଁ ଟ୍ୟୁସନ ଯିବା ଦରକାର। ଆମେ ଫେଲ୍ ହଉଛୁ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ଗଲା ଥରକ, ଆଇ ୱାଜ୍ ସୋ ଡିସଆପଏଣ୍ଟେଡ୍ ଯେ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି କ୍ଲାସ ପୂଜାର ଯୋଉ ନୂଆ ଦିଟା କ୍ଲାସ ପୂଜା ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଥିଲା, ତାର ଯୋଉ ମଣ୍ଡଳ ହେଇଥିଲା, ମୁଁ କହିଲି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଥିଲି, କହିଥିଲି ଯେ ଯୋଉମାନେ କ୍ଲାସ ପୂଜା ଭକ୍ତମାନଙ୍କଠୁ ଆମେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ହାୟର ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡ ମାନେ ଆମର ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟେସନ ରହୁଛି, ସଂଘର ରହୁଛି, ମାନେ କେବଳ ଆମେରିକା ସଂଘ ନୁହେଁ, ଶାଶ୍ୱତ ସଂଘ, ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଦର୍ଶ ହେବାକୁ ପଡିବ, ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଦର୍ଶ ସେବକ ହେବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ମାନେ ମୁଁ କହୁନି ଯେ ଯୋଉମାନେ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ଆଦର୍ଶ ହେବେ ନାହିଁ। ଆମର ଅଛନ୍ତି ଭାଇମାନେ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ମା ମାନେ ଅଛନ୍ତି, କ୍ଲାସରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି କିନ୍ତୁ ବେଶ ଆଦର୍ଶ ସେବକ, ଭଲ ସେବକ ଅଛନ୍ତି। କିନ୍ତୁ ଆଖି ଜଣେ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଦର୍ଶ ହେବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ତେଣୁ ଦିନଲିପି, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ଯେ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ ନ କରିବେ, କ୍ଲାସରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିବା ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି, ସେମାନେ ସଂଘର ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ ଅମାନ୍ୟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଆଉ ଯିଏ ସଂଘର ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ ଅମାନ୍ୟ କଲା, ମୁଁ ତାର ନାଁ ଆପ୍ରୁଭ୍ କରିବି ନାହିଁ, ସ୍ପଷ୍ଟ ଭାବରେ କହିଥିଲି। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଦେଖୁଛି ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଥିଲେ, ପୁଣି 3 ଜଣ ଖଣ୍ଡେ ଡ୍ରପ୍ କରିଲେଣି। କେମିତି ହବ? ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଚିଟିଂ। ଆପଣ ନାଁ ଯିବ ବୋଲି ଆପଣ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଦେଲେ, ନାଁ ଯାଇକି ଚାଲିଲା ପରେ ଆପଣ ଡ୍ରପ୍ କରିଦେଲେ। ତ ପ୍ଲିଜ୍ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ଡୁ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍। ଦିନଲିପିଟା ପୂରଣ କରିବା ସଂଘର ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ। ବାରମ୍ବାର ମୁଁ କହି ଆସୁଛି, କରନ୍ତୁ ଏଇଟା। ନକଲେ ହବ ନାହିଁ। ଏଇଟା ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତିରେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିବ। ପୂରଣ କରିକି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଜଣାନ୍ତୁ। ଯୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଦୋଷ ତ୍ରୁଟି ରହୁଛି, ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ କ୍ଷମା ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କରନ୍ତୁ ଏବଂ ଆଶୀର୍ବାଦ ଭିକ୍ଷା କରନ୍ତୁ। ରେଗୁଲାରଲି ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆଉ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଦିନଲିପି ତ ଭଲ କଥା, ଯୋଉ ନ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ଯଦି କାହା ମନରେ କିଛି କାହା ମନରେ ଖଟକା ଆସୁଥିବ ଯେ ମାନେ ମୁଁ ତ କରିପାରୁନି, ଦେଖିଦେବେ, ଦେଖିଦେଇକି ତା ଆଗରେ କହିଦେବେ। ଗୋଟେ କଥା ଆଇ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ଆସ୍ୟୁର ୟୁ, I do not talk about anybody dinner to anybody else. I don't. Those who know me, they know that I'm telling the truth. ମୁଁ କାହାରି ଆଗରେ କାହାରି ଦିନଲିପି ବିଷୟ କଥା କହେ ନାହିଁ। କିଏ କରିପାରୁଛି, କିଏ ମାନେ ସକାଳୁ ଉଠୁଛି କି ନାହିଁ, ଆଇଁଷ ଖାଉଛି କି ନାହିଁ, ପିଆଜ ରସୁଣ ଖାଉଛି କି ନାହିଁ, I don't discuss all these things. So I just notice them, ମନେ ମନେ ରହୁଛି। ଖାଲି ଆପଣମାନେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଜଣାନ୍ତୁ। ଏଇଥିପାଇଁ କହିଲି ଯେ ସେଥିରେ ପରିବର୍ତ୍ତନ ଆସିବ। ଯଦି ଆପଣ ସଂଘର ସଭାପତିଙ୍କୁ ପଠେଇଲେ, ଆପଣ ମନେ ରହିବ, ଆରେ ମୁଁ ତ ମାନେ ଏ ମାସେ ଏଇଟା କରିପାରିଲିନି, ଠିକ ଅଛି ଭାଇ ଦେଖିଲେ, ଠାକୁର ଜାଣିଲେ, ନେକ୍ସଟ ମାସରେ ମୁଁ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବି। ଏଗେନ୍ ଭାଇମାନେ ମାମାନେ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆମର ଏଇଟା ସଂଘର ବୋର୍ଡ, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ଏଇଟାକୁ ଅଭ୍ୟାସରେ ପରିଣତ କରନ୍ତୁ। ମୁଁ ଦେଖୁଛି ମାନେ ହଁ ବାଇ ଦ ୱେ ଲେଟ୍ ମି ଜଷ୍ଟ କ୍ୱିକଲି ଗो ଥ୍ରୁ ଦ ନେମ୍ସ ସମ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ ନେମ୍ସ ଆଇ ଜଷ୍ଟ ୱାଣ୍ଟେଡ୍ ଟୁ ଗୋ ଥ୍ରୁ। ଯେ ଗଲା ମାସର ମାର୍ଚ୍ଚ ମାସର ଯେଉଁମାନେ 100% ସଫଳତା ମାନେ ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଦିନଲିପିରେ କ'ଣ ମାନେ ଭୁଲ ଭାଲ ଅଛି କହୁନି, 31 ଦିନ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଜଷ୍ଟ କ୍ୱିକଲି ଗो ଥ୍ରୁ ଦ ନେମ୍ସ so that hopefully it will motivate others, encourage others. ସେମାନେ ହେଲେ ଅନୁପ ଭାଇ, ବିଶ୍ୱ ରଞ୍ଜନ ଭାଇ, ବିଶ୍ୱଜିତ ଭାଇ, ବ୍ରଜେନ୍ଦ୍ର ଭାଇ, ଗୁରୁଦାସ ଭାଇ, ଜ୍ଞାନ ଭାଇ, ଲିପ୍ସିତା ମା, ପ୍ରଭାକର ଭାଇ, ପ୍ରଦ୍ୟୁମ୍ନ ଭାଇ, ସାନୁଜିତ ଭାଇ, ସସ୍ମିତା ମା, ଶିବାନୀ ଦ୍ୱିବେଦୀ ମା, ସ୍ମିତା ବାଇ ମା, ସ୍ମିତା ରାୟ ମା, ସୁଭାଶିଷ ଭାଇ, ସୁବ୍ରତ ଭାଇ। I think ସେତିକି ଆଉ କାରଣ ଦେଖୁନି। ଏମାନେ 31 ଦିନ କରିଛନ୍ତି। ହୋପଫୁଲି ଦିସ୍ ୱିଲ୍ ମୋଟିଭେଟ୍ ଅଦର୍ସ। କରନ୍ତୁ, ଦିନେ 2 ଦିନ କରି ଛାଡ଼ି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ନାହିଁ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଅଭ୍ୟାସ ପରିଣତ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆମର ପୁରସ୍କାର ବେଳେ ସିହ୍ନା ଭାଇ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କହିଥିଲେ ଯେ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଆପଣ ଯଦି 3 ମାସ 90 ଦିନ ତାକୁ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁସଲି କରିବେ ସେଟା ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଅଭ୍ୟାସରେ ପରିଣତ ହେଇଯିବ। ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ କରିକି ମାନେ ଜଷ୍ଟ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟିଆ କଥା ମୁଁ କହୁଛି। ଆପଣ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି ଆଳସ୍ୟ ବଶତଃ କରିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି। ଯିଏ କହିବ ଯେ ନାଇଁ ମୋତେ ସମୟ ହଉନି, ସେଟା ଡାହା ମିଛ ହବ। ସମୟ ହଉନଟା ମୋତେ ନୁହେଁ। ଦିନଲିପି ଟେକ୍ସ ଯଦି ଆପଣ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଆପ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଟେକ୍ସ ଓନ୍ଲି 15 ସେକେଣ୍ଡ, ନଟ୍ ଇଭନ୍ 15 ସେକେଣ୍ଡ। ଆପଣ ପ୍ରିଫରେନ୍ସ ଠିକ୍ ସେଟଅପ୍ କରିଦେଇଥିବେ 15 ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଲାଗିବ ନାହିଁ। ଆପଣ ଯଦି 15 ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହଉନାହିଁ କହିବେ ଏଇଟା ମିଛ ଛଡ଼ା ଆଉ କିଛି ନୁହେଁ। ଆପଣ ଜୀବନ ଯେତେ ବିଜି ଥାଉ, ଆପଣ ଗାଧଉଛନ୍ତି ନା ନାହିଁ, ଶୋଉଛନ୍ତି ନା ନାହିଁ, ଖାଉଛନ୍ତି ନା ନାହିଁ, ବାଥରୁମ୍ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ନା ନାହିଁ, 15 ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ମିଳିବ ନାହିଁ। ଆପଣ ଶୋଇଲା ବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଜଷ୍ଟ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ ଦଉଛି, ଶୋଇଲା ବେଳେ ଆପଣ ଯଦି ବେଡ୍ରେ ବସିକି ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ କରିବେ ଏବଂ କହିବେ ମୁଁ ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ ନ କରିବା ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମୁଁ ଶୋଇବି ନାହିଁ, ମାନେ ତକିଆରେ ପଡ଼ିବି ନାହିଁ, ଖଟରେ ପଡ଼ିବି ନାହିଁ, ବସିବି ଦିନଲିପି ପୂରଣ କରି ତାପରେ ଯାଇକି ଶୋଇବି। ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ, ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରି ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ହଉଛି ନା ନାହିଁ। ଆପଣ ସେ ମୋଟିଭେସନ ଦରକାର। ମୁଁ ଜାଣୁଛି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କେତେ ଚିଡ଼ି ଲାଗୁଛି ଭାଇ କାହିଁକି ଏମିତି କହୁଛନ୍ତି। ମୁଁ ଏଇଥିପାଇଁ କହୁଛି ଯେ ଆମର ବହି ପଢ଼ିବା, ବହି ଶୁଣିବା, ଜାଣିବା କିଛି ମୂଲ୍ୟ ନାହିଁ ଯଦି ଆମେ ସେମିତି କିଛି କରିପାରିବା ନାହିଁ। ଠାକୁର କୌଣସି ଜାଗାରେ କହିନାହାନ୍ତି ଯେ ତୁମମାନେ ପଣ୍ଡିତ ହୁଅ, ସେ ବରଂ କହିଛନ୍ତି ତୁମେ ମାନେ ପଣ୍ଡିତ ହବା ଅପେକ୍ଷା ମୁଁ ଚାହେଁ ତୁମେ ମଣିଷ ହୁଅ, ମନୁଷ୍ୟତ୍ୱ ଅର୍ଜନ କର, ଦେବତ୍ୱ ଅର୍ଜନ କର। ଈଶ୍ୱର ତ ବ୍ରହ୍ମ ଆଶା କରୁଛୁ ନାମଠୁ ସେ କହିଛନ୍ତି। ସିହ୍ନା ଭାଇ କଥା ବାରମ୍ବାର କହନ୍ତି ଯେ ଠାକୁର କହିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୋର ଗୋଟିଏ ଉପଦେଶକୁ ପାଳନ କରେ ତାକୁ ମୁଁ ଅନ୍ତରଙ୍ଗ ବୋଲି ଜାଣିବି। ତା ଅର୍ଥ କ'ଣ ହେଲା? ସେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ ହେଲା ତାଙ୍କର ଉପଦେଶକୁ ପାଳନ କରିବା ଏଟା ହେଲା ମୂଳ କଥା। ସେ ନ କରିବା ଜ୍ଞାନର ସପ୍ତ ଭୂମିକା, ଶରୀରରେ କୋଉଠି 9ଟା ଚକ୍ର ରହିଲା, କୋଉ ଚକ୍ରରେ କେତେ ଦଳ ରହିଲା, ସେ ଜାଣିବା ଭାଇ କିଛି ମୂଲ୍ୟ ନାହିଁ ଏହାର। ଯଦି ଆମେ ଗୁରୁଙ୍କର ଆଜ୍ଞା ପ୍ରତିପାଳନ ନ କରିପାରିବା, ତାଙ୍କ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦେଶ ଯଦି ନ ପାରିବା, ଯଦି ନିଷ୍ପତ୍ତି କରି ନ ପାରିବା, ସଂଘକୁ ଆସିବା କିଛି ମୂଲ୍ୟ ଲାଭ ନାହିଁ। କିଛି ବୁଝିଲେ କେତେ, ପଢିଲେ କେତେ, ଶୁଣିଲେ କେତେ, ନଥିଙ୍ଗ ହାଉସ। ନିଜକୁ ମଣିଷ ଭାବେ କରିବା। ସମୟ ହେଇଗଲା। ଏଗେନ୍ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ନିବେଦନ, ସବୁଦିନ ଅଭ୍ୟାସ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଏଟା ଅଭ୍ୟାସ ପରିଣତ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆଉ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଗଲା ମାସ କରିକି ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଲେ, ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଅନୁରୋଧ କରୁଛି କରନ୍ତୁ। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଇଚ୍ଛା ସମସ୍ତେ ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି କରିବା। ଏଗେନ୍ ରିପିଟ୍ କରୁଛି, ମୁଁ ଆଗରୁ କହିଥିଲି, ଠାକୁର କହିଲେ ତୁମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି କରୁଛ, ଦେଖିଲେ ମୋର ଯେତେ ଆନନ୍ଦ ହବ, ଗୋଟେ ରାଜ୍ୟ ଆଣିଦେଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ମୋର ସେତେ ଆନନ୍ଦ ହେବ ନାହିଁ। ତ ଲେଟ୍ ଅସ୍ ଟେକ୍ ଏ ପ୍ଲେଜ୍। ସମସ୍ତେ କେମିତି ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି କରିବା ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା। ଇଚ୍ ୱାନ୍। ଏ ଯୋଉ ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ମିନିଟ୍ ହେଇଗଲା। ଗୋଟେ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଭେରି ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ। ମୁଁ କହିବା କଥା ଯେ ଆମକୁ ସଂଘକୁ ଆସିଲେ କିଛି କିଛି ଲାଭ ହବନି ଯଦି ଆମେ ନିଜକୁ ସୁଧାରିବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା ନ କରିବା। କେମିତି ନିଜକୁ ସୁଧାରିବା ସମସ୍ତେ ସେ ଚେଷ୍ଟାଟି କରନ୍ତୁ। ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ଆମ୍ଭିକ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ସଙ୍ଗୀତ।
Passe थारा आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा दुख संपादा रे दुख निपादा रे दुख संपादा रे दुख निपादा रे हासे कांदेरा चिनिदी खेला गारा हासे कांदेरा चिनिदी खेला गारा आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा देरी देरी कानो सुनो मोगा चाना देरी देरी कानो सुनो मोगा चाना पूरे कुंजी जीवा माया अंधाकारा पूरे कुंजी जीवा माया अंधाकारा आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा दूरे मोसंतान एता मुहे आना दूरे मोसंतान एता मुहे आना रखा विश्वास मुने भी कारी कोला रखा विश्वास मुने भी कारी कोला आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा आसे अछिरे मुतोरा कारे डरा मुदा आखि मेरी चाह तुए थारा। जय गुरु।
Jai Guru, young aspirants. We'll start with attendance and then I'll ask Anik to explain the meaning of the song that he just sang. Aditi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Abhyasa? Aisi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anhi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Ansh?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anshu?
जय गुरु माँ से बॉसी माँ जय
Jai Guru. Arnav?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Arun?
माँ से बॉसी नहीं आरुष भी बॉसी नहीं
Jai Guru. Aryan?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jamu?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Divya? Timmy?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Eva?
माँ जय गुरु से डांस क्लास में गई थी।
Jai Guru. Jagrat?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Naitik?
जय गुरु माँ
Jai Guru. Pratyusha?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Pratyush?
जय गुरु माँ।
Jai Guru. Sanvi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Saraswat?
जय गुरु माँ
Jai Guru. Partha?
जय गुरु
Jai Guru. Bhakti?
जय गुरु।
Jai Guru. Bobby?
जय गुरु
Jai Guru. Shilpi?
जय गुरु माँ।
Jai Guru. Shreya?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Manu?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jimmy?
जय गुरु
Jai Guru. Sujat here. Suhani?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Yukta?
Mama.
Jai Guru. Okay. That was taken attendance. Before we start, we're going to read today and discuss. Anya, can you explain the name of the song that you just sang?
Jai Guru. This song has a very important meaning. It says that Thakur is always there for us, so we should not be afraid of anything or anyone. At the time of happiness or sorrow, he's there. He will definitely come for us, but we need to have faith. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Look, with many of our songs reminding us that Thakur is always there for us. And, you know, it's something that we do need a lot of reminders of it. I know I personally do. And like I said, like the song says, Thakur is always there for us, no matter what's happening. We just need to have that faith. And in good times and bad times, and just regular times, he's always there. And even if we don't necessarily notice in those moments, if we stop to think about it, we say if we look at all the things going on in our lives, we can begin to see how he's there for us and how he's helping us if we just take that time to notice that. Okay, and so with that, today is the second week of the month, so we're going to continue reading some of the advice perhaps from the possession. For today's message, we skipped a little bit forward for one of these words because as we've been reading the Gita, there's some concepts and passages that are coming up very soon, and before we get to those, to really understand those, we're going to read something today about karma that Thakur has written, and we're going to get into a discussion about that because some of these concepts are going to be easy to understand in these we're going to be reading later. That's why we skipped around a bit. There is a very short passage that we're reading today. We'll just go right into it and then have our takeaways and get into questions we have there. But as we're going through this, just think about the terms that he's going to use in here. You think about that and try to figure out what he's trying to say here, what we're going to get from this, and then we're going to hold on to this information. In a couple of weeks, we'll come back to some of these discussions a few more times. So just as we're reading, let's try to, when they're using this you haven't heard before, try to figure out what that means, how that applies to you, where you might have seen that before, start making those connections, and we'll talk about that. Okay. Now for today, we're reading pages 146 and 147 in the Vidisha, and Naithik will read that for us. Naithik, when you're ready.
Jai Guru, the source of karma. Today I am repeating whatever I have always been telling you. I shall also wait for liberation until those who have taken my refuge are complete self-surrender, treating me as their own, are not liberated. I bless, let your mind be pure and inspired. Let not ego deviate you from your goal. Even after the dissolution of physical form, I will continue to guide you in the same manner as I was doing when I was in the physical body. This physical body is your guru. He who lives within this body is your guru. You fill up your heart completely with serene and sublime feelings. Always dwell on the feeling that you are Jivana Mukta, to feel liberated while living. Don't pursue any work on somebody's instructions. The source of your action is Ananda, or ecstasy. You have accepted action and joy. You are born to materialize the ideals of Sri Gurudev. If this ideal and goal remain bright in your mind, you can always engage yourself in new actions, and nectar will flow from those actions. You are the living instrument imposing the ideal of Sri Gurudev. If it always remains alive in your mind, you can gradually accelerate your progress, engaging yourself in actions one after the other. Dear child, you may perform sadhana to any extent, but you have to definitely enjoy the fruit of the actions for which you have come to this world. However, its ways and magnitude are different for a sadhaka. Even if the perfection is achieved due to the virtue of the previous birth, the fruits of one's sanchita karma, stored actions, and kriyama karma, actions continuing, are extinguished, but the fruits of prabhada karma, the fruits of past actions here, marked to be enjoyed in this life, remain. But this prabhada karma for a sadhaka becomes pale like the moon before the sun. He who accomplishes creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the universe at a glance also endures silently the cruel sufferings of prabhada. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. So to start, like we normally do, start with some takeaways. There are lots of different pieces in here, lots of different thoughts. So we're starting with some takeaways that we have. Tuni, what was the takeaway you had from this passage?
So the takeaway is that, once the initial meaning is that for your actions you have another action. It could be bad or good, and it could be opposite of what you're doing. Let's say you're doing a bad action, you're gonna get in return you're gonna get a bad reaction. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru, right. Okay, so I think you cut off a little bit at the beginning, but you're right. So karma here, as we're discussing it, and as a concept that in our religion, is basically talking about how, like Jim said, if there's an action, there's going to be a reaction to that. There is going to be, whatever you do, there's going to be some consequence to that. It can be good, it can be bad. If you do something bad, then the consequence of that is not going to be good. If you do something good, the consequence would be something good, potentially, in the simplest term. Of course, things get more complicated, but in the simplest terms, that's what this concept of karma is. Even if it wasn't explicitly written here, that's something we keep. So thank you, Jimmy, for defining that for us and reading that to us. Sandy, did you have any takeaways from this?
Jaguru, Sakura ensured that, like, he'll always be there for us and take care of us no matter what. Jaguru.
You're right. That Sakura is even though he's not in his physical body now, he made sure. And that's why all of these years later, we're right now able to have him as our guru. He made sure that he would always be able to take care of us. And we'll talk a little bit about how he did that and what that means. Pratusha, did you have the takeaway?
Jaguru. I had a takeaway that we should always listen to Sakura and his sayings and follow them.
Yeah, you're right. So that's another thing in here. Again, there are lots of different things in these short couple paragraphs that I was able to explain. But one thing is, like you said before, and like it says here, we should be following the advice and doing the actions that Sakura wants us to do, tells us to do. Good. Okay, we'll do one more. Suhani, do you have any takeaways? Suhani, are you there? If not, Arnav, are you there?
Jaguru, one takeaway that I have was that if you do like what Sakura tells you to do, it'll be much easier to like attain liberation. Jaguru?
No, you're right. So when we follow Sakura's advice, he tells us to do certain things because he's looking out for us and he wants us to achieve that liberation. When we follow his advice, everything he tells us to do is meant to get us closer to that ideal. Very good. Okay. So before we move on to questions I have for all of you, do any of you have questions about what we read just now? Okay, as usual, if you think of any as we're discussing, always go welcome to ask those. So let's talk about the first paragraph. Kind of talks about more our relationship with Sakura, and that we're supposed to follow what he tells us to do. That he made sure that he can always look out for us and be our guru. And so we talk about that first before we go into this concept of karma and how that affects us and what it really is. So for this, as mentioned earlier, Sakura, even without being in his physical body, ensured and told us that it wouldn't matter when he left his physical body, he would still be able to be our guru and still be able to take care of us. And so, for all of us, for all of the parents, none of us were alive when he had his physical body, and still even after all this time, our son was able to, because Sakura is able to be our guru. So he mentions in here why that is. My question is, how is Sakura able to be our guru despite not having a physical body? How is he able to still guide us? Saraswata?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. So, Sakura is our guru, and in that, like, in being that Takura doesn't have a physical body that, or currently, and as far as any of us have done, as their parents, grandparents even, he doesn't have a physical body, but he's our guru, and he promised that he's going to guide us, and he does guide us. So in here he mentions, how is he able to be our guru? How is he able to fulfill his role in being able to guide us? Just what part of him is doing that, basically?
Jagger, would it be because he's inside of us, in a way you could...
Yes, in a way he is. And can you explain how that is? So, I guess he talks about in here, he can continue to guide us in the same manner as he was doing when he had a physical body. So, if the physical body is not what he says the physical body is your guru. So, what aspect of that is within us or around us as well? If it's not a physical thing.
Would it be the soul?
Yeah, you're right. So this concept of the soul that we've been discussing these last few months as we're reading the Gita, this kind of indestructible, eternal thing. We have that all within us. Takura has that, and in a way it's the same. So that aspect of him, that soul aspect, Atma we call it, is also everywhere and within us at all times. So that physical body that he was in when he had one, and the song started, and we read that he went through all of those things in his physical body and gained enlightenment. What is within him was always there and continues to be there. And so that's what's with us at all times. When we talk about in these songs, how he's always with us, that's the aspect. We won't physically see him with this in the soul, like our own souls and others. He is there. And that's how he's able to guide us, because he is already everywhere. Okay. So, as we discussed before, Takura, as our guru, being everywhere, even being within us in our soul, he's promised that he's going to help us achieve this liberation. And what we have to do, as we've discussed many times before, is all of this advice. And in doing so, we're going to get closer to our goal. So we talk about our goal is liberation, but he also expresses it in a different way here. So in this goal of liberation, and as we're living, what is it assuming? What is liberation? And what does that necessarily feel like when we're still living and existing on Earth? Chelsea?
Jagger, can you repeat the question?
Right. Our goal and what Takura is guiding us towards is liberation. In this passage, he mentions what that looks like and what that feels like as we're living our lives on Earth. And when we're saying we're trying to achieve liberation, and we're acting towards that, what are we pursuing? What are we looking for?
I guess we're looking for getting rid of our ego and stuff that like makes us want to be selfish, and find that like our mind is set on like doing stuff for Takura, and being out of the like just of the daily tasks and stuff, and like meditating and stuff to reach closer to Takura. Jagger,
right. So we're trying to get closer to him by doing actions that cut out our egos in ways, and do basically right actions to keep us on this path. and kind of getting rid of all the noise that's around us in our lives. And when we do that, when we're following this path, it's kind of an emotion. So what kind of emotion are we really trying to go for? What kind of feeling are we trying to go for in our lives? Shilpi?
Jagger, can you repeat that? My phone was glitching.
Okay. So when we are doing all of these things to get closer to Chakra, to live our lives the way he's telling us to do, what feelings are we expecting to have as we do all of this? What feeling or like emotion state are we kind of chasing through all of this?
Well, we're trying to chase the feeling of
Right. So we're looking for kind of that inner peace. Here it's described as ananda, ecstasy, the joy. But a way that we understand that, as we've discussed before, is that happiness is going to be a kind of peace. It's going to be a kind of calm happiness. And, that's what we're chasing. That's what following the advice of Sakura and understanding his teachings. That's what we're going to get to achieve. And that's kind of what we're pursuing. At least in how we can feel it. Ultimately, we're pursuing liberation until we have certain levels of understanding of what that means. We're chasing happiness at the base level. Okay, so then moving on from here, from this paragraph, where we establish we're supposed to follow the advice and actions that Dr. tells us to do, but that's going to give us that peace. Sakura goes on to explain, as Jimmy explained before, that basically every action that we have will have a reaction that is going to be a cause and effect, and whatever we do will be a cause. So he has a few things to say about this. The first thing I want to discuss is how do we affect thoughts of differently? Because as you go through life, anything you do is an action. Anything you do is going to have a reaction. Even if you sit at home and do nothing all day, that is still an action. So how do we affect that? How do we affect what those reactions are going to be? And what does Sakura say all of our actions should be in pursuit of?
Jager, could you repeat the question? I didn't.
Yes. So if we have, as we go through life, talking about karma is concept that when we do an action, there's going to be a reaction. If you're alive and you're living your life, you're going to be doing all sorts of actions all day, every day. We're doing actions right now. So what does Sakura say about how we affect karma? And what should we do, or what should our intention in our actions be in the pursuit of?
Jager, I think it would be always doing good no matter what. Even if you have already done something bad and you got that bad karma, even after that, you can still start again and do something good, and then have the reaction of something good happen later.
Jager, right? So, whatever you do in the past, you've done in the past. You can't change that. You can always choose to see every moment as an opportunity to do good. And just as another reminder, Pratyush, how do we know, and what can guide us to let us know what the good action would be, what we should be doing in any given moment? Pratyush?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry, something happened.
Yes. So what will guide us to let us know what the good action is supposed to be?
Jaeger, that would just be listening to Takara and what he tells you, because we already know whatever Takara will tell us will lead us to do something good, Jaeger.
Jaeger, right. So Takara's guidance helps us stay on that path, and if you inform Takara of what your situation is, what's going on, he will, in some form or another, give you an answer for what the right path is and what you should be doing. And Reeves is talking about what he wants us to do. That helps guide us in those decisions on how to react. So here, you had a lot of different types of dharma. One of them that it talks about a bit is prarabdha, which is basically the idea of we have this concept of reincarnation in Hinduism, right? So even like basic things, you knock something over, you knock a glass over, water spills. That's action reaction. Very simple stuff. One of the things that we do in life, we don't see an immediate reaction. And because we have this concept of reincarnation, our soul had a different body before and even reborn, it's possible for action to kind of build up over time and for it to take lifetimes before you see the fruit or the consequence of that action. So there's the concept of these fruits of your actions that are going to show up as maybe different problems that you see in this lifetime, regardless of whether or not you can see a direct reason for it in your current set of actions. So there are all of us who have some things, obstacles in our lives. And one of the reasons in Hinduism that's given is actually because of things that we've done in previous lives that have built up, and this is now the effect of all of that. So when Pepper talks about that, there are some fruits of actions that we're going to see that we don't necessarily know why it's coming in our own consciousness, but that's going to be a part of life. There are things that we don't feel like we have control over. But what does he say is going to happen when we have these consequences showing up in our lives? If we are following the path that actually helps us do, with meditating, with reading, and with behaving and acting in the way that Hector tells us to do, what happens to these challenges in our lives? Ansh?
Jaeger, can you repeat the question?
So what happens to challenges in our lives from previous actions, maybe in this life or previous life, that we have to deal with? If we pursue the path that Tucker tells us to pursue, if we listen to his advice, and if we act in the way that he wants us to act, what happens when challenges, obstacles come in our way?
Jaeger, I think that we'll be able to face them like with a smile on our face, and that we'll be able to overcome them, Jaeger.
Great. So if we focus on the present and what we can do and how we can follow Chakra's advice in current time, then that will make all of those challenges a lot easier to bear. And like he says here, pales like the moon before the sun. They're not going to matter as much to us as looking forward to our present and our future, and what actions we can do and how we can follow Chakra. Okay, with that, we're out of time. And these concepts are going to come back up in a couple of weeks and repeat that, so we can remember these and how that's going to affect what we're reading there and what lessons we get from that. And this, we are no time for Jai
Jai Guru. Today is my Bhava Vinimaya Seva. I've been reading Thakur's books after evening prayer, and I've learned a lot from them. I've learned that I should always tell the truth and be kind to other people. I've also tried to help my mom cook dinner as often as I can. I've been trying to do work around the house and attend prayer as much as I can. I'm looking forward to the upcoming Samlani and seeing all bhais, ma's, and young that I haven't seen for 2 years, and doing Thakur Seva. I pray to Sri Sri Thakur to guide me in the right direction. Jai Guru.
जय गुरु आज मोर भाव विनिमय सेवा अच्छी आज अनेक बहुत बढ़िया सुंदर प्रेयर गाइडलाइन इट मेंट दैट no matter what Thakur will always be there with you in joy and sorrow, and you need to have complete faith in him. So I have been trying for past 2 decades to completely surrender. But I've not been successful, 100% successful at all. However, in the past year, I think especially in the past year, I think Thakur was trying to test me. There were a lot of challenges thrown at me, and typically I would get really, really stressed out with all the challenges I have been facing. But this time I consciously made an effort that I'll surrender. I'll just inform Thakur and not worry about the consequences and how I'm going to overcome the challenges. And it worked really well. Things started falling in place, and then the challenges were gone. I could overcome them and whatnot. And in that process, I really wanted my kids to learn that too. And so I have been trying to be a role model for this. And in that process, at least our younger one, he has started, to inform if he has any tests, if he has any hackathon games or anything. So he would start morning when he goes and does his prayers and whatnot. So he will start informing Thakur, and he will say, "Oh, Mama, you know what? I informed Thakur, and look what, guess what? I have got good results and all. But I'm still struggling with a teenager at home, and he still has to do that." So I pray to Thakur that I continue surrendering myself at his feet, and hopefully our kids also learn the same. And that's all. Jai.
Jai Guru. More as we Bhava Vinimaya Seva achhi. Like if Sitama touched on complete surrender, I also wanted to speak about something in those lines. I'll just take this example from the last few months in my life. Right? In the last so I am here in the States. I have been here for past many years. I had my baby, he's been growing up, but it's just me, like many others. It's me, my husband, and my son. I have quite a demanding job, as well as my husband, and I'm in the same boat as many working women would be. In the last 3 months, I got COVID twice, and I've been going through a lot of health issues. But somehow over the years, it has always been like this, that for me, even growing up or when I started working, living away from home by myself and coming to the US by myself for my job, and then going through every life change, internally I feel alone, but just the fact that I trust that Thakur is there. Thakur is somebody who is like more than my guardian. It gives me so much strength. Like the example I was saying, like I I had COVID twice in the past 2-3 months. Right now, like last 2 days, I have, because of all medications and everything, I have like huge boils in my mouth and my throat. I had not been able to eat or talk properly. So yesterday I was thinking, how would I even do the Seva today? Even talk or say whatever, the invitation or anything. But like it has been through in the past, always, this morning I wake up with feeling a little better, that I can at least move my mouth properly, do things. I did the invitation. By this time, all of a sudden, I have been feeling much better. It might be the mental state that Thakura gives, or I completely feel that it is Thakura's strength, Thakura's work. Any work that I am supposed to do, be it my job, be it my family, anything, it's just Thakura's direction to me, and he somehow clears the path or gives me the strength physically and mentally to do it. I never question his presence, and everybody says, others in like my friends and everybody, like how they ask me how do I do all of this despite being sick or whatever it is, like they are in the same boat, kids, sickness and everything. What I cannot really tell them or haven't told them is, I don't think about anything myself. I just do things. My only feeling, always constant feeling, has been that Thakura is there. I am here doing what he thinks is right for me. Sometimes I also feel that there are things that I say or that I do which is not right, but then I have been able to come out of very difficult situations without being harmed or learning something. So he tests me often, and all I am, the little bit I am in life is all because of him. So, yeah, that is what I wanted to say. Joy Guru.
ମଙ୍ଗଳେଶ ଆପଣ ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଗ ପାଇଁ ଆଉ ଇଭିନିଂ ପୂଜା ପାଇଁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରିବେ।
ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ ଭାଇ, ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଗ ଆଉ କୋଉଟା?
ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଇଭିନିଂ ପୂଜା ସମୟରେ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା, ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ। ମୁଁ ଶ୍ରୀ ଶ୍ରୀ ଠାକୁର ଭାଇ ମା ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଆମେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରୁଛି ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ପୂଜା, ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଗ ଆଉ ଦିନ ପୂଜା ପାଇଁ। Jai Guru.
Jai Guru, I invite Sri Sri Thakura, all Bhais, Mas and young aspirants to the Sangha Puja on Sunday, April 17th. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Answaya moro asanta Sunday Sangha Puja pali achi. Sethipai Sri Thakur Maharaj ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ସାଦର ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ ଜଣାଉଛୁ। आसन ग्रहण करी आसंता रविवार दिन सकाल पूजा 7:30 आरती हम, द्वितीय आसन 10 हम योगदान करी पूजाटी साफल्यमंडित करेंगे। आम मान को अमृतवाणी शुणाई कृतार्थ करेंगे। सब भाई और माँ मैंने पिला निमंत्रण जनाऊँ आसंता संघ पूजा योगदान करी आमको सेवा सुजोग देवे। जय गुरु।
Jai Guru, on behalf of all Puja Kalyas and Sevaka Siddhikas in today's Sangha Puja, I beg forgiveness from Sri Sri Thakura and all Bhakta Bhai Man young aspirants for the mistakes and errors committed deliberately or unintentionally during the Puja today. Jai.
Doya Moya Shri Charane Nivedana Doya Moya Shri Charane Nivedana चरण इहा छड़ा रहिबा हितारा कामना इहा छड़ा रहिबा हितारा कामना इहि मात्र भिक्षा मोरा एतिकी प्रार्थना एहि मात्र भिक्षा मोरा एतिकी प्रार्थना तुमे प्रभु मोहि दास एहि अहंकार तुमे प्रभु मोहि दास एहि अहंकार एकमात्र जीव प्रबल संस्कार प्रभु एकमात्र जीव प्रबल संस्कार तिथि लगी जीवे करे न मिले मुक्ति तिथि लगी जीवे करे न मिले मुक्ति तथापि मनी आनंद ध्रुपति प्रभु तथापि रखिबी मनी अनंत ध्रुपति तुम्हारी दृष्टि भीतरे तुम्हारी जगते तुम्हारी दृष्टि भीतरे तुम्हारी जगते पड़िथिबी जही तही तुम्हारी इंगिते प्रभु पड़िथिबी जही तही तुम्हारी इंगिते ध्वंस परि रचनार अभिनव रूप ध्वंस परि रचनार अभिनव रूप देखि देखि आसी जीव असल स्वरूप प्रभु देखि देखि आसी जीव असल स्वरूप मिलाई न पारे जीवे तव यंत्रेश्वर मिलाई न पारे जीवे तव यंत्रेश्वर तव नामे बाई जीवी भंगा वीरा मोर प्रभु तव नामे बाई जीवी भंगा वीरा मोर सुनो बानो सुनो केहि थिब अहंकार सुनो बानो सुनो केहि थिब अहंकार तुमे प्रभु मोहि दास इति संस्कार प्रभु तुमे प्रभु मोहि दास इति संस्कार प्रेममय श्री चरणे करे निवेदन 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 तुम जय गाउथिबी सारा जीवन प्रभु तुम जय गाउथिबी सारा जीवन प्रभु तुम जय गाउथिबी सारा जीवन प्रभु तुम जय गाउथिबी सारा जीवन जय गुरु 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 जय জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় জয় जय गुरु 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 जय जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु जय 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 गुरु जय गुरु। जय गुरु आमर आज ये सब लोकल भाई मैंने सब आसती जो सब समस्ते आज ये आज आमर रास्ता सफा हम वेस्टर्न रोड क्लीनअप आज गला मसर कराई 20 तारीख दिन आज सेकेंड राउंड अश्विनी भाई प्रवीर भाई प्रभाकर भाई विशु भाई ज्ञान भाई सब बहुत भाई मैंने अच्छा प्रणेश भाई हाँ सब जी आज जय गुरु। ओके परिचय पत्र मेल पठाई हाँ प्राय 9टा कार्ड पहुँचनी 9टा मेल पहुँचनी बोधे पहुँची या भितर मे बी आसंता संडे दिन रोज भाई परिचय पत्र ग्रहण हम आसंता रविवार आज्ञा हाँ आउ केतोटा थिला अनाउंसमेंट हमरो ए मासरे से जो सूर्य पराग एप्रिल 30 रे पड़ुची किंतु आम माने नॉर्थ अमेरिका नहीं साउथ अमेरिका अंटार्कटिक एंसो अच्छी आम यूएस नहीं नेक्स्ट हूँ लुनार इक्लिप्स पठेली मे 15 राति अच्छी से आप जानते हैं ओके तापर अटेंडेंस जीवा आउ ता पूर्व भाई किसी कहे ये मैगजीन सेवा ये भाई निहार भाई जय गुरु
जय भाई गोटे कथा मोर कहला छोटे कथा
भाई कौन भाई जय गुरु
हां सुन भाई आपण मोर ना से
आपण पाइछंती भाई
नान मु पाइले
पाइनाते ना राइट
ना
ना आपण पाइनाते सित्र अछि आपण नाट सित्र अछि लिस्ट जोटा न पाइछंती अपेक्षा करंतु ना तो देइथली जो एड्रेसटा हमरो शेयर करथली हमरो गूगल ड्राइव करेक्ट सेटा हां आपण तो एड्रेस चेंज हेनी ओके ओके अटेंडेंस बा जय गुरु अजित भाई
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु अमिता भाई
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु पद्मिनी माँ
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु अंजना माँ ना बोधे अनु भाई सत्या इंडिया जाइछंती अश्विनी भाई ये अच्छा जय गुरु संगीत ये अच्छा जय गुरु बरदा भाई
भाई बाहर
आज्ञा माँ जय गुरु ओके विजय भाई इंडिया जाइछंती विनय भाई
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु और माँ
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु विश्वजीत बेहरा भाई
जय गुरु
विश्व भाई अच्छा जय गुरु आम घर माँ भी अच्छा जय गुरु तापर विश्वरंजन भाई जय गुरु लिपिका माँ माँ ना ओके तापर ब्रज भाई जय गुरु रश्मि माँ जय गुरु बृंदान भाई
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु पद्मा माँ
जय गुरु भाई
जय गुरु चिन्मयी माँ जय गुरु देव भाई
जय गुरु
लीला माँ
जय गुरु
देवाशीष भाई
जय गुरु
देव प्रसाद दास भाई, सोनाली शर्मा, दीपक भाई, अमा जयगुरु।
जयगुरु भाई।
दीपक भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। जयगुरु।
देवी श्यामल भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। स्निग्धा माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। दीप्ति माँ इंडिया जाइछन्ति, दीप्ति इंडिया जाइछन्ति। गुरुदास भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। ज्ञान भाई माँ ये अच्छी, जयगुरु। स्वाति माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। ईश्वर भाई,
भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। प्रज्ञा माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। किशोर भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। वंदिता माँ,
भाई माँ दर्शन।
आज्ञा जयगुरु। दीपसिता माँ,
भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। महेश भाई,
भाई जयगुरु ठाकुर में भोग बाढ़
माँ जयगुरु। जयगुरु। मानस भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। प्रज्ञा माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। मोनालिसा माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। निहार भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। अर्पिता माँ, जयगुरु। प्रभाकर भाई अच्छा माँ ये अच्छा, जयगुरु। प्रद्युन भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। प्रणवेश भाई ये अच्छा आसन मंदिर में। पृथ्वीराज भाई,
जयगुरु भाई भाई थिले जाइछन्ति।
जयगुरु माँ। रवि भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
आज्ञा। गीता माँ,
माँ भोग
आज्ञा। जयगुरु। जयगुरु। रमा भाई, कल्पना माँ, संदीप भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। अंजलि माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। सानुजीत भाई अच्छा आसन मंदिर में। सार्थक भाई,
जयगुरु भाई। भाई माँ जॉइन कर प्रणाम।
हाँ भाई जयगुरु। तापरे सुभाषिष भाई,
भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। शिवानी महंती माँ, बनलता माँ, शिशिर भाई,
भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। सोनाली माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। सौम्य भाई,
भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। अमृता माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। सुब्रत भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। सुश्री माँ,
भाई जयगुरु।
जयगुरु। सुदान चौड़ माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। सुकांत भाई,
भाई जयगुरु भाई पसीना है।
हाँ माँ माँ जयगुरु। हाँ। सुप्रीत भाई, आज्ञा। हाँ। सुप्रीत भाई, सस्मिता माँ, ओहो ओके ओके। जयगुरु। जयगुरु। सूर्यकांत भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। सुकन्या माँ,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। शुभेन्दु भाई,
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। संगीता मान सुप्रेश्वर भाई अच्छा, संघ सेवक। आराधना माँ, ठाकुर भाई, जयगुरु। माँ, जयगुरु।
जयगुरु भाई।
जयगुरु। वेदमती माँ रही पारे कहते। सौम्येन्द्र भाई,
जयगुरु भाई। जयगुरु।
आज्ञा। प्रवीर भाई अच्छा, मधुस्मिता माँ ये अच्छा। सुधासिनी पंडा माँ, आज्ञा। हाँ जयगुरु। 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 अटेंडेंस हो गला। आप कहा ना छाड़ी कि कहे।
हाँ भाई
भाई मु रमा भाई और कल्पना माँ कहते रेस्पॉन्स बट
तारिणी भाई हाँ मैं कल्पना माँ आपने परिचय पत्र पाई
पचार तो पाई भाई को पचारे पड़ो
भाई खाली मैसेज भाई तो मुझे कौन ये विशेष सुप्रीत सचिंतामा
ठीक अच्छे ହେଇଗଲା ଟେକ୍ନୋଲୋଜି କମିଟିରେ ଆଉ ସେ ସୁକାନ୍ତ
सेवा करूना सेवा करतु सेवा कले ही आनंद पाइबे अभिज्ञता पाइबे अनुभूति पाइबे ठाकुर कहते अनुभूति हृदय पूर्ण को रख आम तो किसी नक अनुभूति पाइबा केमती जो सेवा करूना किसी सेवा करूँ जहाँटा करूँ सेवा ना चेष्टा करूँ
आज्ञा हौ जयगुरु आउ भाई माँ मैंने समस्त चेष्टा करेंगे आईटा टाइट पर्सन हो गला मैगजीन सब प्रिपेरेसन कम कर निहार भाई लीड कर समस्त चेष्टा करूँ कि आपण मानकर अनुभूति कि अभिमत कि कौन जिनस थाए लेखा देवाई मैगजीन रे से मैगजीन कलबर वृद्धि हम आईटा आम संघर पब्लिकेशन समस्त चेष्टा करा कि देवाई आई जस्ट वांटेड टू शेयर ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ निहार भाई किसी कहलेनी निहार भाई जन अनुरोध चल रहा जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु।